Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD Starcraft and I'm here for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today we'll be doing a game, a Terran versus Zerg. It is going to be Millennium's ForGG as the red Terran in the bottom right hand corner of the map. And in the top left hand corner we've got the blue Zerg player, Liquid TLO. And this is going to be another game that was just recently played a few days ago. So once again, these games are fresh. And this should be a pretty good one. I've actually been doing a couple of TLO games lately. And so now he's going to be playing up against another one of Korea's finest, Millennium's ForGG, who is a solid Terran player, playing from the original Starcraft, actually, and then transferring over to Starcraft 2 and making his mark known. And so the little one here and ForGG going to be going at it. Very exciting game, potentially. And it is going to be on Akalon Waste, a big map. Usually on this map you will see more macro-based games, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't see a lot of action or a lot of aggression in the early stages, especially when you've got players like the little one playing here, who's known to be very creative, very inventive, and ForGG also has shown his aggro side from time to time as well. So this should be a good one, guys, as we've got the little one's drones going down over to the natural expansion and is going to go ahead and become a hatchery. So we will have a quick expo coming out here for TLO, as well as a quick expo coming out for ForGG. And like I said, on this map, Akalon Waste, it's such a big map, a lot of expansions. You don't necessarily need to try to end the game early on, and I think both of these players, you know, they feel pretty comfortable going into the mid and late game. So we are seeing quick expos from both of them. One thing I will say is, once again, I do feel like TLO might be a little bit outclassed here against a player like ForGG. I casted, the prior game I casted of him was actually against Polt, and Polt that was a really good game. If you guys haven't seen that yet, that was the last ZvT that TLO played. That was incredible. It was amazing. So I do think that TLO here will be once again facing an adversary who he might not be up to par with, but nevertheless I do think this is going to be a very high level StarCraft match, and I'm excited to bring it to you guys. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. We have an SCV coming over to the little one's main base, and it is going to scout the spawning pool just as it comes down. And so ForGG now knows, okay, the little one is going for a spawning pool. He does have a hatchery at the front door, so nothing too fancy, nothing crazy like an early gas. We won't be expecting to see early speed from TLO, nor will we expect him to see an early lair or Nidus or anything like that, because of the fact that there hasn't been any gas mining in the main base. And that's a pretty important scout just from ForGG's standpoint, especially against TLO. You know that he's creative. You want to make sure that he's playing a standard game so that you can play a standard game and not have to worry about some crazy stuff happening. So for now, everything looking pretty good. We do have a lot of queens coming out here for the little one, who's made 2 more on that production tab. He's already got 1 on the field, so he's going to have 3 total. And I like how he's brought the initial queen out to defend the natural and to plant creep tumors down. What you usually want to do is put your you want to put 1 queen at every base, and you want to put your extra queen out there defending the natural, as well as spawning creep. And this was one of the things that the little one didn't do so well against Polt. He didn't spread creep all that well against him, but then again, he was playing a very aggressive Zerg versus Terran match. So it wasn't like he ever had a chance to. You can't really fault him for not paying attention to creep spread, but I think this game we will be seeing a lot of creep spread. We will be seeing him focus on getting that macro out there, as on the other side of the map we do have ForGG here throwing down bunker at the front door, and he's also bringing a factory over to that reactor. So will he make Widow Mines or will he make Hellions? And it looks like the first couple units are going to be Hellions coming out here for ForGG. A couple of barracks also in the background. I've seen ForGG play a lot of Terran versus Zergs, and from what I've typically seen in Wings of Liberty, he really likes his heavy bio play, and he really liked to use that, as far as my knowledge goes. I do believe that he liked to use it a lot in Heart of the Swarm as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he isn't going to incorporate some mech, because the thing about Terran versus Zerg now, the best way to play against Zerg is a healthy mixture of biological forces and of mechanized forces, because you do need that splash damage and you do need the mobility of bio against Zerg these days. And like I said before, the little one really working on that creep spread. He's also adding on burrow technology right now, which could make for an interesting micro battle if we do see some early burrow coming out from these roaches or even zerglings. And don't forget, you know, burrow encompasses most of the zerg strains, so you will see that affect queens, ultralisks, almost everything on the ground. Roaches, hydras, everything can burrow. So it could be nice for the little one here to get that burrow out, as we do have Stimpack on the way from ForGG, who's adding on a starport as well, no doubt, to get some medevacs on the field in order to you know, transfer his forces and to heal his bio. And it looks like these Hellions were doing an okay job just attacking the creep tumors. We do have the new tumors kind of spawning out. That's the advantage as Zerg when you have a bunch of tumors, is even if you lose one or two, you can rebranch them from the other tumors around the place. So it's not a big loss for the little one, especially since he's got extra queens and they have decent energy too. And here comes Roaches. Actually coming around the backside is the little one trying to surround the Hellions, and he was able to get one Hellion kill, which is good for him. And that'll keep ForGG a little bit at bay. No workers have gone down so far in this game. 2 medevacs are on the way, as well as a handful of marines, and ForGG here trying to find a way to sneak around the back. Note there's no longer a Zelnaga tower at the center of Akalon Waste, so you don't get that tower functionality anymore. But here comes some Widow Mines, and Widow Mines are very good to bolster the Hellions when dealing with early roaches. One mine will take out a roach, not take out a roach, but it will push a roach all the way to the red, and you'll be able to finish it off quite easily, as a mine does 125 damage. Roach has 145 HP, but without drilling claws, the little one is able to snipe off that mine. We actually saw him doing that against Polt quite effectively. And here comes ForGG going in with these Hellions. He is just going to go straight for the run by. He sees the infestation pit, and it looks like he might just try to use these as a scout. An expensive scout nevertheless, but still a scout. But there you can see the little one burrowing some of his drones underground in order to keep them safe. Very smart strategy. Ended up saving, I guess, one drone. But here comes the backup from ForGG. He's brought over a bunch of marines, stimming them up as well. He doesn't see any overseer, so he could just go straight for the hatchery. I don't even think an overseer is his biggest priority, because he only has one mine here, and he is actually going to kill off a ton of drones. 15 drones have gone down already, and oh, that infestor comes out but did not fungal growth. A fungal there would have been critical, but the little one wasn't paying attention. But he does get a fungal on the second infestor coming out, and that should be enough to whittle down this marine army to the point where it's no longer a threat to this hatchery. That medevac still has a little bit of HP left. Gonna fly back in, drop more marines off, and 5 marines or so make it out, but they are gonna get killed off by the combination of a second fungal and roach acid. So a little bit of craziness there, but ForGG, I don't know, he killed off about 15 drones, 19 drones actually. So his attack wasn't so bad, considering he only lost about maybe 2 squads of marines and a medevac. Not a bad trade for ForGG, who does have a macro command center, and very soon I would expect him to see him plant down at the new expansion and get mining going on over there. So a pretty good game so far from ForGG. I really like the attack. And he's put the little one back a little bit, as he's brought a new medevac over here to the bottom left-hand corner, no doubt going to try to circumvent the Zerg mineral lines again and try to kill off more drones. We'll see if he'll be effective the second time around. The little one has no defenses here. His infestors and roaches are in the middle of the map. He needs to bring these troops back home. A new infestor pops out. If he can fungal this medevac and keep it in place, that would be huge. He will not get the fungal, as this infestor did not have enough energy, and that medevac has completely bypassed the natural. It's going to go for the main base, but I don't think that ForGG is going to be able to really plant or drop any units down without Ignite Afterburners and the squad of, you know, infestors and roaches just waiting underneath. It's probably not the best idea to unload his marines. He'll just end up losing them really quickly. But he is going to unload them over here and pick off an overlord. Why not? And a queen as well. Oh, but the queen burrows underground. Smart right there. And Comsat to reveal the queen. So ForGG thinking it's worth it to drop the 270 minerals to kill off the queen underground, which I think is debatable. I would have preferred, I think, to see him save the Comsat. But it's kind of a needle in the little one's side, if you will. It's like, no, I'm not letting, there are no mercy here for your forces, the little one, says ForGG, you know. I'm taking out everything I can. So he does kill off that queen. as the little one plants down his 4th hatchery. So 4 bases to 3 bases here, but the supply largely in favor of ForGG, who's at 137 to 132. Upgrades about 1-1 across the board, except for the Terran armor, which is still lacking at this moment in time. ForGG is going to go in for yet another drop, and this is what I was saying before. This is the play that he's so good at in StarCraft 2, is Marine drops. He's extremely good at multitasking, and he knows where to strike where his opponent is weakest, and this is just a prime example of it. He's going to go in right into this hatchery where there's really no forces, and he doesn't need to stick around. I think with the Ignite Afterburners, another kind of boost for Terran in Heart of the Swarm, ForGG is just going to be able to exploit the danger of medevacs against Zerg so well. And the little one here is, he's got to leave forces at each of his bases. He's got to be prepared for that inevitable drop, and also you got to be ready for this. What a push by ForGG. He's bringing out all his Marines, his Marauders, and tanks. And this is big trouble for the little one. He does get a couple of fungal growths down. I don't know how TLO is going to be able to hold this off. He does get a great fungal on that medevac in the back, so he doesn't have to worry about the dual threat from the drop and the main attack. But now he's got to focus his efforts on stopping this assault here on the ground. If he allows ForGG to set up a camp in the middle, then TLO is in a ton of trouble. Now, he does have a very large Infestor army. I don't know if this many Infestors, what he needs, because it's mostly Marauders and tanks. And Marauders and tanks are not that greatly affected by fungal nearly as much as Marines are, but the little one is going to go in nevertheless. He's going to try to pound his way through the choke point, and the one thing going good for him is the fungal growth, but the other thing going terribly for him is his forces are getting blasted apart by siege tank fire at this little choke. And this is not looking good for TLO. He did keep most of his Infestors alive, though. If he can get some fungal growths down while he's got the high ground here. Oh, but the Siege Tank getting vision just barely by that Marauder. And now he's got vision with the Marine on the high ground. This hatchery, I think, is going to go down. What a game right now so far. Meanwhile, the medevac in the back just kind of abandoned. But ForGG doesn't care about that. He just wants to kill off this hatchery, and kill it off he does. The little one is in so much trouble right now. I'm not entirely sure what he can do. He might be able to intercept the new reinforcements coming in. This is one little thing he can get going for him, but no, the forces from ForGG coming down from the north, intercepting the Infestors, and now TLO reverting to his burrow tech to try to run and hide and run away. But I think this game is quickly unraveling here for TLO. 171 supply to 106. And I'm just showing you guys some of these tabs. It's not looking good for TLO at all. I think maybe the little one just was completely outgunned by ForGG's forces, who just pushed through the middle of the map with all these Marauders, Marines, and tanks. And with such a heavy emphasis on Marauders and tanks, I don't think the little one was prepared. I think TLO was more thinking he was going to be dealing with Marines, and so he stockpiled so many Infestors, but it turns out the Infestors were not what he needed, although he is going to get a great surround here with some Zerglings. Incredible surround. And will he be able to come back here? And oh my god, he's going to be able to kill off all of the Marauders. And, I mean, you know, obviously it's a pretty dark, it's looking pretty grim for the little one right now, but it's not as bad as it was before. He was able to kill off all the tanks, and look, he's forced the retreat of ForGG's reinforcements, who is now a little bit concerned about the possibility of a counterattack, and so he sieges up his tanks on his side of the map. But I think maybe TLO buying himself just a shot here to maybe climb back in this game. You will note he's got 3 Broodlords on the way, and I don't think ForGG has any Vikings. No, he has no Viking production whatsoever, although he does have a medevac starport. I think the last thing on ForGG's mind right now is he's going to be dealing with Broodlords. So, maybe if TLO can catch ForGG by surprise with a huge flock of Broodlords, I mean, possibly he could push ForGG back and claim a little bit of back in this game. But we'll see. It looks like ForGG is pushing out right now. I mean, it's still looking very bleak for the Zerg player. 196 supply to 111. Here comes all the Marauders and Marines once again. Broodlords have to reveal themselves here. They don't really have a choice. But I do like how the little one basically is exploiting the lack of Marines in this army, saying, okay, you went mass Marauder tank, then I'll go Broodlord. and Broodlords will be able to win me this fight. We do have more starports being added on right now on that production tab as ForGG anticipates more Broodlords to come through. Whoa! Big fungal growths here coming out from TLO, and this army is heavily weakened. Some Zerglings are gonna go for a surround on the Marauders, and here comes the Zerg army looking to finish it off. Can TLO actually do this and kill off the entirety of ForGG's ground forces? Wow! And he forces everything into the medevacs as a retreat. Unfortunately, the little one didn't have enough corruptors left by to give chase onto those medevacs, but that was exactly what TLO needed, and slowly but surely has climbed himself a little bit closer. He's closed the gap in supply here, and look at the resources lost. I mean, is almost identical. It's only off by 2 units of resources. That's pretty damn close. So maybe the little one here isn't completely out of it yet, but then again, we do have Vikings now being produced out of the starports, which is so smart from ForGG. He was adding on starports when he saw the Broodlords, and now he's going into really heavy marine production. Look at how many marines he's got now. He's almost completely halted marauder tank production in favor of heavy marines, and it looks like he's gonna go ahead and drop off some marauders over here to snipe an extractor and do whatever damage he can, but TLO's forces are ready and waiting, so ForGG is pushed away. But this could be the defining battle here. Now, if the little one has enough infestors remaining, he could actually fungal this army down. He only has 3 right now. He's got 2 more on the way. That's cutting it pretty close in terms of how many fungals he's gonna have. He will need to land the perfect fungal growth here in order to halt this army, and he's so far down in supply. I mean, this is gonna take a miracle for the little one. Here he goes though. Fungal growth number 1 and fungal number 2 hit their mark, and a final fungal growth as well. A ton of marines going down here, more infestors coming out, and wow, amazing fungal growths from TLO. Will he be able to hold on here? He needs something to deal with the Vikings. He's used all of his fungal energy. He's brought his queens to defend the Broodlords, and he's using transfuse to keep them alive. He's caught up in supply 128 to 155, but he cannot afford to lose this hatchery. But the hatchery goes down, the hatchery falls, and ForGG gets out of there with his medevacs, and the Vikings continuing to slaughter the Broodlords. A couple more gonna maybe go down. Yeah, he just doesn't have any transfuse left over, and GG calls TLO. Oh man, I thought maybe for a second there he was gonna be able to make a stand, but you know, ForGG, I mean, he was so far ahead in this game. Like I said, it would have been a miracle, but valiant fight nevertheless by TLO. Would have been pretty sweet if he just had a few more queens and maybe just 1 or 2 more infestors. He could have actually just completely annihilated this army and saved 1 more fungal growth for the Vikings. That would have probably been the killing blow for ForGG, and I think TLO might have been able to climb back in. But nevertheless, what a game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course, more casts coming out here on my YouTube channel /HD Starcraft. I'll see you guys soon.